Welcome, English 102. This is Dr. Elizabeth Rodriguez, your librarian, and in this brief video, we're going to be investigating some of the library's resources for your upcoming compositions. We're going to do a quick overview of some of the distance library help, uh, introduction to your information environment, your information problem, so what you're searching for, and some suggested databases. So although you may not be here physically at our EMCC library, online, all of our library databases are accessible fully online. We also have a live chat Ask a Librarian service. Anywhere you're online, there is a librarian there to assist you. You can also call the desk if we're open, and we have a email response feature in our library. I'm going to point those out to you, but please be aware that there might be a 72-hour lag in response. So if you have an immediate question, it's always good to sort of log on to that Ask a Librarian chat service. The library's homepage is a library.estrellamountain.edu. When you're on the library's homepage, you'll find the list of all of our library databases on the left-hand side of the screen under Find Articles, Books, eBooks, Videos, and More. Those are all of our library databases listed out. For contact information, such as calling the library or emailing the library, or our Ask a Librarian chat service, please use the information provided. That Ask a Librarian icon is linked to the chat, and it will pop open in a separate box. Oftentimes, students wonder why their instructors have requested library instruction for their classes. It's important to keep in mind that your information environment is very robust as a college student. And let me explain. So this is an image that a librarian at Mesa Community College came up with to help students to sort of understand what exactly they're accessing when they search online. Oftentimes, we start our search by using our phones, right? And when we search the internet, we're really just using the surface web. On the surface web, that's the things that your Google or your Yahoo or your Bing can access. It's mostly commercial information, online shopping, some government sites, but for the most part, it's pretty limited. As an Estrella Mountain Community College student, you have access to closed access resources, or the deep web. Those are your databases, your proprietary research. So if you're only searching the surface web, you're not accessing those library databases. And that's why it's important that you're using the library's homepage to access those library databases for your assignments. The theme of your assignment is popular culture. This is an information cycle timeline provided by the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. It kind of helps to illustrate how when an event occurs, after the event happens, we see it reported in the news or on somebody's blog or Twitter or Instagram. About a week later, we're going to see the event reported in some talk shows or like Good Morning America. A month later, we might see it published in a magazine that you might buy at the grocery store. But formal research doesn't really come out until maybe a year later, and formal publication in a library database or a physical book might not happen until years later. This is really important to keep in mind when conducting popular culture research, because when you think about your research topic, if it just occurred, you're going to need to consider broadening your search of your or the scope of your topic to include maybe more of the genesis behind the topic, to include previous research. So for example, if you are researching car drifting, you're going to be than looking for um, journal articles and books on streetcar racing, right, and the genesis of that. Um, if you are going to be looking at researching Instagram influencers, you might then want to consider looking at the genesis of celebrities in its history on film as well as in magazines and books, etc. Okay, so what's your information problem? Well, there's a theory called the imposed query theory that suggests that information problems or questions can occur in two types. The first being self-generated questions. Those are questions that you come up with yourself, such as I'm drinking a glass of orange juice and I want to know how many calories are in it. Well, I know how to answer that because I look at the side of the carton and it tells me the calorie count, right? So I self-generated that question. I knew the answer I was looking for and where to find it. An imposed question are questions that are given to us by another person to transact. Why this could be problematic is that oftentimes when questions are imposed, they can create confusion, anxiety, and misdirection. Because without knowing what you're looking for, how do you know that you found it? So homework assignments are oftentimes examples of imposed questions that students have to transact and oftentimes find that they get misdirected because they don't fully understand the instructions. Please make sure that you are clarifying the instructions with your instructor as you progress through your research. Also, reach out to a librarian to help you to explore your research topic. Again, thinking back to if you're only searching the surface web, you may not be familiar with a lot of the proprietary closed access deep web resources that are available on your topic. As I mentioned earlier, you all are writing a pop culture themed paper. I've given you all an example research question. So how might sneakerhead culture influence my fashion choices? Now, if I was going to look for information on this, I need to first identify the keywords or the words that I'll use to search for information. So perhaps I'm going to start off with the first term of sneaker, and then the construct or the idea of sneakerhead culture, and then fashion choices. You really want to consider brainstorming your keywords. Oftentimes, the words we use in everyday language isn't necessarily the same terminology that a researcher uses. So, for example, we use the word sneaker. So, a researcher might use athletic shoes, tennis shoes, Nike. Sneakerhead. Well, maybe a shoe collector or sneaker collector. So, we're really trying to think of other synonyms. So fashion, you might want to consider apparel, clothing, streetwear, sportswear, etc. So we're going to do a couple suggested databases. The first one is going to be Credo Reference, and the reason I really like students to use Credo Reference is that it is a digital book database, right? It's not research articles, it's not newspaper articles, it's just digital book resources. Those are going to be dictionaries, almanacs, etc. When you look at a Credo reference record, it literally is just like going to a book, opening it up to an exact page and reading the text. Credo reference is also really useful when we're trying to brainstorm ideas. It's also a great alternative to Wikipedia. The OneSearch is our library aggregator. It helps us to search all of our library databases at one time. And then JSTOR, which has a substantial archival collection of content, and then also a really cool search feature that I'm going to share with you all. So let's get started. Starting on the library homepage, astoriamountain.edu, I can find the link to the library by scrolling down and selecting Library. So I'm currently on campus as I'm recording this, so everything that I'll be using is going to automatically authenticate. From home, you're going to be prompted to sign in with your MEID and password. So the first database that we're going to be using is going to be listed under popular resources on the right-hand side of the screen, Credo Reference. Go ahead and select this link. As I mentioned, I was automatically directed to the database. I didn't have to sign in. You will be prompted to sign in with your MEID and password. Once in Credo, you can do a basic search here. Credo reference again, this is going to be full text book entries. I'm going to go ahead and do a search for sneaker and do a search. Okay, once I get my results, a couple things I want you to be paying attention to. Notice that I have the option to view articles or images. And then also I have this wonderful mind map. This mind map is really going to help you in looking at generating other search terms. So notice here in the center it says sneaker, but it also suggests things like footwear. If I select footwear, my search results are going to adjust on the left-hand side of the screen, but it also helps me to sort of, again, explore other terminology. I'll go ahead and scroll back or select sneaker again, but also notice that it offers me things like Reebok or Puma, etc., Nike. As I look through my results, pay attention on the record. You're going to see the title of the entry, in this case, sneakers, and it's from this particular book, St. James Encyclopedia of Hip Hop Culture. A couple of words of about this entry, and then below it, the number of words, in this case, 1,834 words. Now, not all of the entries in Credo are going to be encyclopedia entries. Some of them are dictionary, and you'll notice 52 words or 7 words. So they're definitely not as robust. You're mostly going to be paying attention to looking at using those encyclopedia articles. I'll go ahead and select the title to direct me to this article. So it's almost as if I had gone into the St. James Encyclopedia of Hip Hop Culture and I'm now reading the full text. Notice how it mentions things like about Adidas, Air Jordans, other collaborations. So definitely it provides me all that basic background information, really helping me to have those working definitions, and also helps me to identify related topics. So I like this article. I have the ability to save it, generate a reference citation for it. So in this case, it's going to be MLA. I can print it or I can click on share. And then once I hit share, I'm going to have the ability to email it to myself. Now this is very important. Under format options, it's going to select full text. Make sure to select full text if you want full text. If you do not select full text, the database will not send you full text. It will just send you a citation. Anything with an asterisk next to it, such as your name, your email address, the email to, must be completed before sending it. Little tip, your address and the email to is the same, and I always suggest to students, send it to an email that you have access to on your phone. That way, wherever you go, you'll have that ability to read that article. Let's go back to the page on this particular entry for sneakers. We also have a read aloud option. If you click this, the article will be narrated for you. This is really helpful, especially if you're looking at articles with a lot of jargon, especially like scientific articles. And then also there's a translation option. So again, Credo reference, it also offers you selected related searches as well. So a really good place to start for that background information, as well as an alternative to Wikipedia. So the next database I'd like us to go ahead and take a look at is at the center of the library home screen, the OneSearch. Now what the OneSearch does as our library aggregator is similar to that of a Google search or using any search engine. Instead of searching all of the internet, the OneSearch searches all the library's databases. So beyond just what we have here under popular resources on the left-hand side of the screen, the Find Articles, Books, eBooks, Videos, and More page, that's a list of all of our library databases, which are pretty substantial. It's a lot of content, right? And so with the OneSearch, it allows you to search everything at one time. What I'm going to go ahead and do is click here under Advanced Search to conduct an advanced search. So I went ahead and I clicked on Advanced, so we're going to do an advanced search. So The basic search just lets you search one box, but the advanced search, it really helps us when we're working with lots of different terminology and different types of features. So, for example, if I wanted to automatically limit it to currency, this might be relevant for those of you who are looking at a topic and looking for the most current research, so maybe last 3 years or 12 months. So if you use the drop down for all fields, notice that you can limit by author or title. This is really helpful when you know what you're looking for. If you do all fields, then it just kind of opens it up to all searches. So we're going to leave it as that. And I'm going to go ahead and begin with my search. I'm going to do a little bit more of a complex search where I'm going to be looking for, definitely, I want to look at, um, sneaker, and I'm going to use my Boolean operator of and. And is a connector. If I use or, it allows me to use terms interchangeably, and then not means I don't want it. But I'm going to leave it as and, so I make sure that it's going to be sneaker. And I'm going to do collecting because I'm interested in sneakerhead culture. To add another field, I'm going to use the plus sign, and I'm going to still keep it as an and because I'm really looking for, again, the topics that include all of the subjects that I want to search, right? Because I already have that Credo reference article that gives me some of the history behind the sneaker. Now I'm going to be really looking at the collecting aspect. And then I want to look at its influence also on sportswear, right? So I'll go ahead and look at sneakers, collecting, and sportswear, and go ahead and hit search. Right, so I get 528 results. To filter through my results, I can use on the left-hand side of the screen the Refine Your Search panel. So I definitely want to make sure that everything is fully available online because if it's on campus, it doesn't help me. And then the other thing too is I'm really interested in looking at scholarly peer review. I want to look at some journal articles. Okay, so I'm going to look at scholarly peer review. Right, and if I wanted to, as well as scrolling down, I could also limit it by date of publication, but I'm just going to keep it here. But I'm going to look and see, is there anything in any of these titles that might be of interest to me? Notice that we have the preview option. When I select preview, I can read the abstract for the article. So this one here, sneakerheads are individuals who collect and wear sneakers with great enthusiasm. This one, sneakerhead brand community ethnography and exploratory research looks good. So I'll go ahead and select the title of the article. So when you do your search, you might be asked to log in with your MEID, but since I'm recording this from on campus, everything is authenticating. So this particular article comes from Gale Academic OneFile. Notice that Gale Academic OneFile is not one of the databases listed under popular resources on the library homepage. If I were to find this, I would have had to go into that Find Articles, Books, and More list. So that's one of the cool things about OneSearch, again, is that it might bring to light a suggestion for maybe a database that might be helpful. So looking at the record for this article, I have the title, here are my authors, my date of publication. It's from a journal titled Fashion, Style, and Popular Culture. Notice also at the tippy top, I have all these wonderful resources like to cite if I wanted to generate a reference citation. I have a send to, which will allow me to email the article to myself, right? I can download it, I can print, and then get a link to it. Again, you'd have to be logged in with your MEID and password to access it, and highlight and make notes if you wanted to create a temporary account. So definitely lots of cool things that I can do. But in looking at this particular article, I'm just looking at the abstract. Yeah, it looks like it would really help me in answering my question about how sneakerhead culture might influence my choices in fashion. Okay, so that was a little bit of a quick and dirty of searching one search, right? Um, so I know that many of you may begin your research using Wikipedia, and we know that one of the issues with Wikipedia is that the articles sometimes are not balanced, meaning they present one side but not all the sides. Oftentimes they aren't objective. They really have they can have a motivation or a hook on it where they want to sort of lead the reader to only see one perspective. Also, the also they tend to not always be the most complete. But I know oftentimes that when you're searching the surface web, um, Wikipedia articles are going to be the first things to pop up. So what happens if you find a Wikipedia article and you go, oh my gosh, this is so great. What do I do with it? So I found an article on Wikipedia and I go, oh my gosh, I totally need this article, sneaker collecting. I'll go ahead and I'll take this URL, copy it, just for now, so I can show you what to do with it. On the library's homepage, under Popular Resources, third option is going to be JSTOR. Now, earlier I had mentioned to you all why I like JSTOR so much. One of the reasons I've always found JSTOR to be helpful for students is that it has a really good, robust collection of older research material, um, so also referred to as archival material, but also it has a really interesting search feature. At the very center of the page, you're going to see, oh, you can search JSTOR. It's its general search box for journals, primary sources, and books. And then you're going to see advanced search, and then you're going to see text analyzer. If you've never used the text analyzer, this is kind of a cool search feature. We'll go ahead and select text analyzer and see what happens. So on text analyzer, what it allows you to do is search web pages or text to see if JSTOR has some type of article or book that might be similar to what you have found. So I'll go ahead here. I'll just paste in my Wikipedia entry on sneaker collecting, and it's going to analyze the text. And let's see what happens. Okay, it's got some generating some recommendations. All right, so let's look at those results. So you're going to notice on this text analyzer um, some results, suggestions, and maybe they're not the most helpful. So on the left-hand side, you have the ability under analysis to prioritize your search terms. So maybe I'm like, well, I don't really want Wikipedia. So I'll use this scroll bar here and I'll make it not important. And that'll adjust my search. And maybe I want to be like, well, I really think that shoes need to be the most important. So I'll drag my ruler here all the way to the right. See if that makes a difference in my search results. And then you can say, well, African Americans, maybe I'll just put it here to the middle. Maybe that's not as interesting because perhaps I'm very much interested in sneakerhead culture amongst the Asian American community. So maybe I'll make it to like a 1, I don't know, and see if that makes a difference. And it may or may not, right? So I can look at some of their suggestions of article results. And in looking, let's see, anything, maybe something, maybe not, I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and just select the first one just to see. So it's not really until I actually look at the full text that I really know what's going on. So let's look at this one here. So this particular article, Missy Mr. Meter Elliott and Nicki Minaj, fashionista, da, 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 da. It comes from Journal of Black Studies. All right, so we have our abstract here on the left-hand side, but at the center of the screen, let's see what it's about. So looking at since the emergence of hip-hop culture, okay, Let's see, we explore, da 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 da, and well, you know what? Maybe this might be interesting because if I did a search for maybe news articles or magazine articles about Nicki Minaj or Missy Misdemeanor Elliott and some clothing brands, I might actually find some information about how hip hop and maybe even sneakers might play a role, right? So if I find an article on JSTOR that I like, I can use the share option and I can email it to myself. I can save it or download a PDF. Now, you may find that this JSTOR feature may not be helpful, right? So if you get stuck and you don't know where to begin, definitely please use our Ask a Librarian chat service. You can use the library at estrellamountain.edu service, or please feel free to email me directly if you have questions. I definitely want to be able to assist you and support you, and hopefully some of these resources will get you started. Um, Really, it's your search terms that really play a role in helping you to find information. And again, these are just some of our databases. I've also shared with your instructor our library video channel. So if you want to look at some of our other, how to search some of our other library databases, but just if you have questions, please don't hesitate. Contact us immediately so that way we can assist you as quickly as possible. Um, Thank you all for listening and come and visit our library page. All right, take care.